Forget the teasers. Forget the panels at Hall H. Forget everything you thought you knew about how the Multiverse Saga was supposed to end. We just got intel on the opening sequence of Avengers Doomsday, and if these reports are even half true, Marvel isn't just rewriting the rulebook, they're burning the entire library to the ground. We are talking about a cinematic collision 25 years in the making, a brutal sacrifice that will break hearts, and a backstage panic at Disney that could reshape Secret Wars forever. The MCU is about to get very dark very fast. Let's break it down. Welcome back to the Redframe, guys. Just when we thought the news cycle around Avengers Doomsday had finally calmed down, the floodgates have opened up again. We've known for a while now, thanks to multiple reliable scoopers, that this film was aiming for the single greatest opening sequence in comic book movie history. That's a tall order. How do you top the opening of Infinity War where Thanos beats down Hulk and kills Loki in the first 10 minutes? Well, a new, highly trusted source on social media has just dropped the bombshell that answers that question. And honestly, it sounds absolutely insane. We already knew, thanks to insiders like Daniel RPK, that Tobey Maguire Spider-Man was a 100% lock for this movie. The initial relief was that, unlike some theories, Tobey reportedly isn't going to die. And I have to admit, I'm in the camp that believes killing off legacy characters just for shock value, like Ben Affleck's Batman or the upcoming potential death in Secret Wars, feels cheap. We want these heroes celebrated, not discarded. But just because Tobey isn't dying, doesn't mean he's safe. The new report claims that Avengers Doomsday opens with a full-blown fight sequence between Tobey Maguire's Spider-Man and Hugh Jackman's Wolverine. Let that sink in for a second. This isn't a cameo. This isn't them nodding at each other across a battlefield. This is a versus match. Spider-Man and Wolverine are the cornerstones of modern superhero cinema. For the generation that grew up in the early 2000s, these two defined the genre before the MCU even existed. We have waited a quarter of a century to see these two share the screen. And now, we aren't just getting a team-up, we're getting a throwdown. Why are they fighting? Is it a misunderstanding? Is it some kind of twisted multiversal training simulation run by the TVA? If it were just one person saying this, I'd dismiss it as fan fiction. But when multiple independent sources start corroborating the same wild scenario, where there's smoke, there's usually an inferno. And folks, the inferno gets much hotter. The fight between Tobey and Hugh is just the appetizer. The main course is devastating. The report goes on to detail why they are fighting, and it introduces a terrifying new element: the Fox X-Men cinematic universe is attacking Tobey Maguire's universe. This turns the opening of Doomsday into a horror movie. We are told that Tobey's Peter Parker, alongside the redeemed Alfred Molina's Dr. Octopus, are making a desperate last stand to protect their reality against an invading army of mutants. And the kicker? They lose. The report states that the beginning of the film will show the total annihilation of the Raimiverse. This is incredibly cruel storytelling, and that's exactly why I believe it. Think about where we left Tobey in No Way Home. He was the wise elder statesman. He had found peace. He had fixed his villains. He was, presumably, going back to a world where he might finally make it work with MJ. Marvel is reportedly going to take all of that away in the first 10 minutes of the movie. To establish the stakes of the incursions, they are going to murder a universe we have loved for 2 decades. It's bloody. It's brutal. It's exactly the kind of wake-up call this saga needs. So, why is the X-Men universe acting like villains? Why would Professor X's students invade and destroy another world? This reeks of manipulation. If the X-Men universe is attacking, they are likely being either deceived or forced. Could this be Dr. Doom's grand entrance? Is Doom manipulating the X-Men universe, convincing them that Tobey's world is a threat that must be neutralized? If Doom can turn the X-Men into his personal multiversal hit squad, he's already terrified. By pitting the Fantastic Four, who he will likely manipulate first, then the X-Men, against the remnants of the multiverse, Doom is consolidating power through chaos. But there's another, darker possibility that has been floating around since Multiverse of Madness. Who is really to blame for the destabilization of the multiverse? Is it Doom, or is it the fallout from Avengers Endgame? There is a strong theory that Steve Rogers staying in the past fractured the timeline more severely than we realized, accelerating these incursions. We have reached the point of no return. The morality is gone. It's the Optimus Prime philosophy: for our world to live, yours must die. If the X-Men believe their reality is collapsing, and the only way to save it is to destroy the colliding Earth, Tobey's Earth, they might just do it. It turns these heroes into desperate survivors willing to commit genocide to save their own kind. This brings me to a crucial narrative problem that Marvel needs to solve, and it involves Hugh Jackman. If the Wolverine we see slaughtering Tobey's universe in the opening scene is the same Wolverine that is rumored to eventually team up with Tom Holland's Spider-Man and the TVA Avengers later in the saga, the story breaks. Think about it. If you're Tobey and you watch this specific Logan destroy your world, kill your MJ, wipe out everything you've ever built, there is no coming back from that. You don't team up with that guy later. You try to kill him on sight. This is why I believe the Wolverine in the opening attack must be a different variant than the one from Deadpool and Wolverine. The attacking Wolverine should perhaps be the original, hardened Foxverse Logan, desperate to save his reality. The one who joins the Avengers later needs to be the anchor being variant we just met, or perhaps a totally new one. If they make Peter Parker team up with the literal destroyer of his world, it cheapens the trauma. The opening scene needs to establish Tobey's absolute loss, making him a tragic figure going into Secret Wars. He's the ghost of Christmas past, a warning of what happens when you lose the multiversal lottery. Whatever the case, the involvement of the X-Men guarantees a darker tone. When you bring in the mutants, you bring in themes of prejudice, survival at all costs, and political grit. The Fox X-Men movies, for all their flaws, were never afraid to bodybag major characters. They are ruthless. Tobey's universe doesn't stand a chance. Who is going to defend it? A redeemed Sandman? A sane Norman Osborn? They don't have the firepower. It's just Pete and Ock against an Omega-level onslaught. It's going to be a slaughter. Now, let's shift gears from the on-screen apocalypse to the backstage panic at Marvel Studios. We need to talk about the structure of the finale, Avengers Secret Wars. Since the day it was announced, the rumor mill has insisted that Secret Wars is too big for one movie. It has to be split into two parts. Marvel has been cagey about this, but recent reports suggest they have finally admitted their strategy. Allegedly, the decision to split Secret Wars into two films depends entirely on the box office performance of Avengers Doomsday. This shouldn't come as a surprise. We've seen this playbook before. Warner Brothers did the exact same thing with The Hobbit. What was supposed to be two films was stretched into a trilogy to maximize profit and recover the insane production costs. Doomsday is already rumored to be a 3-hour behemoth. Secret Wars hasn't even begun filming. If Doomsday doesn't hit the astronomical numbers Disney needs, they might split Secret Wars purely as a financial safety net to guarantee a return on investment across two theatrical releases instead of risking it all on one massive finale. And what is the magic number? Considering inflation, the massive A-list cast salaries, especially RDJ's return as Doom, and the sheer scale of VFX required, Doomsday probably needs to hit $2 billion just to be considered a comfortable success equal to Infinity War or Endgame. That brings us to the CGI elephant in the room. This film cannot look ugly. The recent MCU visuals have been questionable. But I was rewatching Age of Ultron recently, and even that film, from a decade ago, has a weight and polish to its CGI, especially the Hulkbuster scenes that current Marvel projects lack. Thankfully, the early teasers for the Fantastic Four first steps actually look incredible. The practical and CGI blend on the Thing is the best he's ever looked. The cinematography seems inspired. If Doomsday can just manage that level of quality, or even just match 2018's Infinity War, fans will be forgiving. We don't need perfection, we just don't want it to look like a rushed video game cutscene. If the story delivers on Tobey vs. Wolverine, we'll forgive a few floating heads. But if Doomsday fails visually or financially, the two-part Secret Wars plan might be a desperate attempt to save the ship rather than a creative choice. Finally, we need to address the gamma-irradiated rumors in the room. There has been a lot of noise lately that Mark Ruffalo, our current MCU Hulk, had been fired by Disney due to his outspoken political views and some controversial statements. People have been asking me about this constantly. Let's set the record straight. These rumors appear to be completely false. It is confirmed that Mark Ruffalo is not fired. He is slated to appear in Spider-Man Brand New Day, Spider-Man 4. However, it has been known for years that Hulk will likely sit out Avengers Doomsday. The current narrative plan, stemming from the upcoming Captain America Brave New World, suggests a major event that will take the Hulk off the board temporarily. He is expected to disappear, only to make a grand return in Avengers Secret Wars when the heroes need the heaviest hitters. The idea that Disney fired him for political reasons doesn't track with their previous behavior. Look at Tatiana Maslany, She-Hulk. She was incredibly vocal against Disney during the strikes, openly criticizing the company. Yet, the door is reportedly open for her return if she wants it, though, given the backlash to her show, I doubt she's rushing back. The point is, Disney generally doesn't fire their A-list Avengers over tweets unless it becomes a legal issue. If Ruffalo isn't in a project, it's either a story decision to sidelining him for a bigger impact later, or Ruffalo himself choosing to step back. The Hulk is safe. He's just benching himself for the first round of the apocalypse. So, there you have it. The MCU is gearing up for a brutal beginning to the end. A war between franchises that starts with the death of the universe that started it all. Tobey versus Hugh. X-Men versus Spider-Man. And the looming threat of Doctor Doom pulling the strings while Disney nervously watches the box office returns. What do you guys think? Is starting Doomsday by destroying the Raimiverse too cruel, or is it exactly the stakes we need? And does a Wolverine versus Tobey fight destroy the emotional core of a future team-up? Let me know your theories down in the comments. If you enjoyed this deep dive, smash that like button, subscribe to the Redframe, and hit the bell so you don't miss breaking news when it drops. Until next time, stay hyped.